everybody, this is Salvi here with the VTuber news coming right up for you. Before that, of course, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell, and the like button as well, and let's get right into it. Ember Paradox is a fiery redhead your mom warned you about, and that you've always wanted. We're talking about them today because they made a video reacting to, well, you know, people on different parts. Caleb, who is the guy who double checks people's finances and takes a look at all that. It was a video critiquing him on his stuff, and she critiqued him on his stuff too. Since YouTube's AI thought this video contained harassment and gave me a channel strike, preventing me from uploading it for the next week, YouTube's lost and now X's gain. You tell me the internet, did this React video deserve to be recipient of a community guideline strike for content that contains unwanted sexualization isn't allowed on YouTube? This includes, but is not limited to, content that describes someone in a lewd, degrading, and sexually explicit manner, shows how to distribute non-consensual imagery, or content that fantasizes about or threatens support of SA. Now, from my understanding, none of this was. I think the only thing that maybe was considered is when she called someone a big titty goth girl, but that isn't a overly, you know, bad interpretation of what they were. They were literally a big titty goth girl. I think it was where was it? It was like around here somewhere that she called someone a big titty goth girl or something like that. So yeah, that one called her a big titty goth girl, and they call themselves, I think this person actually could call themselves a big titty goth girl. So it is interesting that some language, some things here, that the kind of things that a VTuber would normally joke about got seen as that. Continuing here, as I'm currently unable to post to YouTube through my fraudulent community guideline strike, their lost X's gain, I'll be posting the video content I normally post on there in this platform instead. Once the temporary ban is lifted, depending on how these are received, I may or may not continue to dual post this way. So, without further ado, they did that there. It says, is maintaining the strike against my channel, claiming harassment, meaning I will be unable to upload anything, and they're going to be uploading to X, as they're saying here. It says, by the way, the initial implementation of the strike, there were no examples given in the highlight of what is called harassment. When I've been falsely hit with the strike of YouTube, previously, both times was actually a timestamp included as an example of the reasoning for the strike. This time, however, absolutely no timestamp was provided, and thus there was no example of this so-called harassment I'm being accused of. Why? Because there was none. You simply are allowing your AI to both moderate and check itself when there is an appeal, so it can say you investigate ourselves and did nothing wrong. YouTube, not a single human laid eyes on the appeal. If they had, they would have seen that the strike is completely fraudulent and unfounded, and removed the strike immediately. You are completely destroying your platform, and realistically, anyone that is thinking of getting into content creation, you know, should always be careful of that. I've always said that too. They're being very, very weird. And why would anyone even consider trying to establish a career as a content creator on your platform when they would have to spend every day in fear of your rogue, hallucinating AI that has digital boot in their throats? And then, you know, adding a lot of people so they can talk about it. We need your voices on this one because it's not going away, and YouTube's destruction of freedom of speech is only going to continue to escalate. We are going to take a look there. It says liberals are crashing out hard. Caleb Hammer is calling them out. And it says, you know, carefully confirm that it violates our harassment policy. And yeah, it is, people are reacting positively, negatively. Let's go from oopsies to feeling like it's targeted when things like this keep happening to creators. I hope they're starting to take the issues seriously and the creators alone. Until then, please keep posting on X. Maybe Elon will push for better video content support. And here this person says, womp womp, bad things happen to bad people. I think this person is a supporter of, unfortunately, of Hassan. Unfortunately, I say, because Hassan isn't the best person, period, either. And it says, you simp for a blank propagandist, blank abuser, basically all that kind of stuff. Dog blank. I said it wrong. Dog blank. LMAO. So yeah, this person that supports Hassan, which is the first mistake they made in life, which is supporting Hassan. So I do hope that by, you know, hopefully Rev and other people much bigger than myself can talk about this, and hopefully this does get removed and fixed in time. A little bit of a meme in these trying times, or at least something funny happening in these trying times. Koseki Biju of hololive EN, Advent specifically, she has recently had her John cat snipped, as you should for every cat you're going to have, whether they're going to be inside the house or out. Snip them. Just make sure they're spayed, neutered, whatever, in order to make sure that they do not continue to, you know, breed or anything like that, because a lot of times you can't take care of all the cats that are going to be around. They end up being strays, etc. Continuing on, it says, I learned so much about how cat parts work today. And no, I can't show you the balls, the ball pick. It's fleshy and absolutely not fuzzy and, nasty. I did take a picture for sentimental value, but now I'm scared because every time I open my pics, there's a jump scare. And, I, as well as everyone else, responded, the sentimental balls part got me. Hako's Bales, why would the balls be fuzzy? They are fuzzy. Well, the sack is. Iris, sentimental balls, Shiori, could turn it into Christmas ornaments. Download, wait, what? I worked at a vet clinic as front desk, and the first time they let me watch a cat neuter, I was not prepared. So yeah, it is not a fuzzy moment. It is not a fun moment, but this is a funny moment. Just wanted to show you guys this because there's a lot of stuff happening that can be kind of just stressful. Just having a little bit of this helps out. Well, it helps me out at least. Nix Voltaire was a male English language VTuber associated with First Stage Productions' second generation Ravanis, and they were recently going through quite a bit. As you can tell, the posts are protected because we all know what happened recently, but let me just go over a little bit of the past. The issue started, well, one of the big issues that started this whole thing that I'm going to be talking about is this, where they were not able to participate in a 3D live concert under very short notice because of his PTSD or fear of flying. They had noticed it here, and they, put it out there. Nix Voltaire went out on his, well, I think it's deleted at this point, but it was a PL that he has, his past life, which is probably where he's going to be going now. It was a very emotional part, mentioning, that they had removed a lot of his music. They had removed him from Discords, removed him from a bunch of things, already said that he was going to be graduating, or at least they were threatening to graduate him at this point in time, which was about the 20th of December. I talked about that in one of my videos. And we are going to move on to some other things that he mentioned. He mentioned the things in the background, which was he warned them that it was going to happen. That he was not going to be able to go, that he had that fear. He didn't just decide to not turn up and ghost them. He offered to make the meet and greet free. He offered to pay for the flight, basically pay for the expenses of what it would have cost them flight-wise and hotel-wise and anything else that they spent on him in order to make it right. Of course, they didn't respond because for Japanese agencies, as for a lot of large organizations, it is not so much the money, it is the premise of the whole thing of missing it. They don't see the money as much as they see that you slighted them, because they get offended, pretty much. Big companies, I've been a part of corporations, they get offended with the fact that you didn't do certain things. They get slighted by the fact that you didn't do certain things on the schedule that they set. That's how rigid corporate structures are. Not just in the East, in Japan, but in the West as well. Believe me, I've been in corporate structures for a long time. For decades at this point. And yes, they are very strict and very rigid. They offered to record he actually did, from what I heard, record everything in 2D prior to the concert, so at the very least, if he wasn't going to be able to be there in 3D, he was going to have a 2D available for them. But then they decided to cut everything. They cut all the music, all the songs they did for Anime Impulse, all of them removed. Like I said, this is more of a corporate response. This is very cold, very calculated on their end, because they just see you as a number. They don't see him as Nix Voltaire. They see him as employee number whatever, who happens to have the name Nix Voltaire. That is the way companies act. It is not I'm just going to say this because people are going to be like, oh my god, you hate companies, you hate corporations. They have to make money in their own way. And this is a system that's worked for many corporations for a long time. It seems soulless, and it is pretty soulless, mind you, in my opinion. But that is the way that they see you. There's some nicer companies that add a face to the number, like hololive. Hololive still sees them as a number. Don't get me wrong. If people stopped making any money at all, I'm pretty sure hololive would do something else, because hololive is in the business of making money, and hololive is in the business of making income for their investors. And income in order to be able to pay the bills and pay everyone else. Why did I mention hololive? Because hololive is one of the good ones, in my opinion. But yeah, it says he does continue saying he was feeling betrayed, that he had health issues. He let them know about all that kind of stuff. He let them know about him not being able to fly, things like that. He thought he was going to be able to go, but he didn't. Also, in September, he planned to game end himself, and he let them know about that. And they told him, you better not miss it this time because of the issues. Like I said, it is not just FSP that is this cold and calculated and just heartless. It is a lot of large corporations. A lot of corporations are like this because, like I said it before, in my opinion, they do see you as a number more than they see you as the face or the person. They tweeted something later on that, F it, just, be as nice as you can, continue to bring positivity. So they try to bring a positive spin to everything. Rima mentioned the whole situation that I just mentioned right now, and we're moving on to the big news, which is that Nix Voltaire has been terminated from first stage production effective the 22nd. And they went through, and the decision was made after an extended period of internal review, repeated attempts to address ongoing operational and contractual issues. Despite multiple attempts to resolve these matters through communication and support, we have determined that this is no longer feasible to continue our contract due to violations of contractual terms and confidentiality requirements. The confidentiality requirements, due to the video that he made, he did mention himself as Nix Voltaire. Although I don't agree with anything that they've done here, you can see, just from a contractual standpoint, why they ended up getting rid of him. Because the fact is, with the NDAs being as strict as they are in the East, in Japan especially, you cannot say anything while you are in that agency. Anything that says anything about the background, things that people wouldn't normally know, are forbidden and will get you fired. They don't care. They don't care if your grandmother has cancer. They are going to fire you because all they're looking at is the contract and what that contract will say and what people will think in the future if they want to make a contract with FSP. They have to protect that side. I'm showing you just both sides as much as I can, being as fair and objective as I can. I'm gonna let you know, I don't like that this happened. I don't like that they did this. I really feel the closest thing I can think of the big players that did this was Nijisanji. That's why I do compare it to Nijisanji. That's why I do compare it to that whole situation, because they did this for Zaion Lanza. They did this for Selen Tatsuki as well. Other agencies have done it afterwards, but the big player out there that has done something like this in a termination has been this. For example, hololive. You're like, oh my god, why don't you think of hololive? Hololive, when they've done terminations, for example, Ura Harushia, or Hitomi Chris, or Mel, the most recent one, Yozara Mel. They didn't go, oh, she did this and this and this and this and this and this, and a, bullet point here and there. No, they're just like, there were breaches of NDA, breaches of contract, and that's it. They didn't go into the nitty gritty of it. This feels more like a hit piece on the talent as they are leaving, as they have been terminated. It could be, people see on their side. There are two sides of the coin, as always. There are people who see the other side of them being as transparent as possible about everything they were doing to try to fix it, everything that was done by the talent, and these are the reasons why things were done. That is, the big thing you're going to be seeing on both sides. I'm going to be showing you both sides. I'm going to be showing you people who think it's crazy that we're getting so angry, and people who are getting angry at the whole situation, and even people who are criticizing me, because I am not close to criticism as long as it is constructive. Unfortunately, these people can't think of a constructive thing in their heads, but let's continue on. The ones who criticize me, at least. This person I'm going to show you who criticized me. Not everybody. I've gotten some very constructive criticisms from my comment section, and I have implemented some of those changes. It says, thank you for continued support of First Stage Production EN. We regret to announce that as of December 23rd, 2025, we have terminated Nix's contract with First Stage Production EN. This decision was made after an extended period of internal review with repeated attempts to address ongoing operational and contractual issues. Despite multiple attempts to resolve these matters through communication and support, we have determined that it is no longer feasible to continue our contract due to violations of contractual terms and confidentiality requirements. If they had left it at that, I would pretty much have zero complaints. If I had complained, I would have been an asshole. Because that in of itself is like, oh damn, he messed up. They saw their internal review, and they saw that it was a big mess up, enough for especially confidentiality, to make sure that people were going to contract them in the future, have contracts, like game companies, etc., have contracts with them in the future. They have to let them go. But then they went and they said for clarity, which is, like I mentioned, some people see it on both sides, whether it be transparency or not. Repeated violations of copyright-related policies, placing risk of the company's relationships with rights holders, including artists and game developers. just say he broke NDA and he broke certain contracts, and that's it. Like what they did with YoZML. YoZML did well, not anywhere near as crazy as this has been, but she did break NDA, and they said she broke NDA, and that's why they had to let her go. Ongoing failure to attend scheduled meetings, respond to calls, messages, maintain consistent communication with management and fellow talents. Failure to meet several project deadlines, including group projects involving management and fellow clients, despite multiple reminders. Canceling appointments with external parties without any prior notice. Confronting the company and its fellow talents with threats of immediate graduation in order to bypass his contract and be allowed to act unrestricted. This part is this confronting the company. That we won't really know if it's actually true or not. You'll take it at face value. That's the best we can do. It does sound like this sounds a bit vindictive, although it is transparency. In just looking at it objectively, it is transparency, but it does make it seem like vindictive transparency with just the language that they use. I guess some people see it that way. Some people see it as just transparency. Either way is valid for their own rights. And personally, like I said, I'll say it again. I don't like what they did. I don't like that they did this whole thing. It reminds me of Zaion Lanza. It reminds me of Selen Tatsuki when it comes to the large agencies. There are a lot of smaller agencies that have done this too. Globy comes to mind, and others as well. There have been other smaller agencies that have done things like this, and I have called them out when they've done things like this as well. It says, canceling scheduled trips to Japan. That's the 3D one that we mentioned before in the overview of everything that has happened. Along with the above, despite repeated encouragement and suggested measures from management and fellow talents, you're transparent about everything above there, but you're not transparent about this. That's what gets people a little angry. Regarding health, no improvements were reflected in the situation. Voltaire's YouTube channel memberships and social media would close by the end of December, which it has. JST. Ongoing Christmas merch for Nix Voltaire would be cancelled and refunded. Wait for further information. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to the fans that support Nix Voltaire. Ravanits will continue their activities with Nayuta, Altus, Rizar, and Malim. One thing I will say, do not send any hatred to any of the talents. I always mention this whenever I criticize an agency. Do not send hatred to any of them. Because even if you've heard the things from Nix Voltaire about people abandoning him and his genmates, etc., not talking to him, they may have been manipulated by the company as well. Do not go, especially if you're a part of my community, do not go and harass any of the people that you suspect to be the ones who did that kind of stuff. We do not know what was going on behind the scenes. We do not know what kind of information they were fed. We do not know what, because also, there's another thing, one quick thing, this is not a bad thing. There are people who will toe the company line because that is their paycheck. That is the way they feed their family. That is the way they keep a roof over their head. That is the way they keep electricity going. Is it right? That's up for you to decide. But remember, these are human beings behind the whole thing, as well as do not go to an employee that you have found, whatever, of FSP or FSP English and harass them either. You can let your voices be known, but do not, and I repeat, do not harass anybody. That is a big thing in my community. We do not harass people. I say my point, I say my piece, I say what I want to say, but harassment is not welcome in this community. I'm going to go over real quick some things here. It says here the application questionnaire asks you if you have valid ID or passport, if you can travel to Japan. If his contract didn't include obligations to travel, and accepting the role likely means he would like to travel to Japan. So there is, of course, I do understand there is responsibility on Nix's part. It just feels, I don't know, a bit vindictive the way that they did it, in my personal opinion. That is just my opinion, though. We're going more based on what people are saying and a bit more on some factual information there, which is, yes, any company would actually do this to you. When I was part of a property management firm that had different buildings and such, I did have a requirement to travel, and I did have to travel myself. So I can see where this could be a problem for an agency. Let's continue on. Is FSP EN's first termination a well-deserved one? Can't believe this guy actually has a dope, I bet, regular 12-year-old. So, like I say, I'm showing both sides. You can see here, last point alone is insane when you consider all the money and logistics involved in a proper 3D. Talent almost blanked himself because of this. That's the part that doesn't like it. Not really sure why everyone thinks it's petty. List of the reasons they're letting him go isn't the transparency you wanted. They left it out. People would be instead asking them why they're hiding. I do see that. I do see that point. That it is, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. Either way, if they didn't, there are going to be people that are criticizing them for not doing enough transparency. When they do the transparency in the way that they did, of course, there are people who are going to do it like myself who criticize them. I do see this person's actual point. I do recognize that that is a valid point. Beginning to realize very quickly that Japanese methodology of handling Western talents is not, or at least no longer, compatible with Western audience. Do I understand this legally? Yes. Do I still think it's a scummy and underhanded? Yes. That's kind of me. I understand it legally. I've been in corporate culture. I've been in corporate culture where I've had to travel. I understand it legally. I understand the NDA breached legally. It just, feels scummy still. It's simple. Do not sign a contract to commit to a job, then be upset that you got terminated. Yeah, this is another part, yeah. Mental health or not, you're not an adult, you're an adult, get your S together. I can see this part, and I can see where giving leeway to both sides is necessary at some point. I am not closed-minded 100%. I do have my thoughts, my feelings, my emotion side of the whole thing, but I do try to, like I said, give you both sides. People are also thanking Nix for being around at all. All of his stuff, by the way, was removed. All of his stuff from YouTube, like they said they would do, they removed it. Not necessarily deleted, because I'm pretty sure they still want to keep like the views and stuff, but it's all been archived. It's all been unlisted or privated mostly. And here's someone who criticized me for comparing it to Nijisanji. I say to you, no, I'm not going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to continue doing what I'm going to do, and you can continue to cope and seethe. That is all I really have to say to this. I compared it to Nijisanji because that is the closest comparison that I had. I could have put Globy and other things like that, but of the big players, they're the one who put it out there. I already explained myself before. So no, continue to seethe, continue to be salty. I can taste the salt from here, and it is delicious. So continuing on, I still watch the other boys, but I will not see and treat your brand the same way ever again. And yeah, like, treat the boys well. Don't, like, everyone else in FSP EN deserves kindness, deserves all that kind of stuff. So do not use even my video or anyone else's videos or anyone else's thoughts as a reason to actually go and try to hurt others. People losing their S over why the reasons are revealed, but it was hidden. Suddenly everyone's going to go lack of transparency. I can see that. At least we're not getting some kind of we're getting some kind of closure. It took you long enough. The exact story behind the scenes doesn't matter anymore. At the point we wanted the band-aid to be ripped. We're tired. Please do not leave anyone in the dark like that again. And it continues on. It scares me. Where it makes the company the villain and the liver the one who deserves defending. Have people actually ever had a job? Brother, you could have just said he was graduating full stop. Was there a need for effing notes app list? Size, when he's, I swear to you, we can support him and acknowledge that he did F up. Yeah, there are things that like I mentioned, in the corporate culture, they are not going to be liked. Because they see you as a cog in the machine to continue to do and produce for them. And that is just the way corporate culture works. Is it right? No. Is it something that you're going to be able to find somewhere that doesn't do that is profitable and large? Also, no. So that is one of those things you have to live with in corporate life, in capitalist society. Issue, as I'm starting to see it, is the issue involves the entirety of corporate VTubing as a whole. Anybody who would be able to corroborate Nix's story has their mouth taped by NDAs, as it is in any case with hololive and others that have had to terminate their talents as well. It says, thank you for being Nix Voltaire. We have another one here. My heart goes out to Nix Voltaire. Can only echo what the rest of the Roombies and Sage Lights have been saying because we've been worried about it for like a month now. Only hope they realize what they're doing and give another chance once he's fully recovered. That was before the whole situation happened. But yeah, my main takeaway with this, I've fucking made this really long. I do apologize for that. My main takeaway from this is, if you are going to be going to a company, just thinking about it objectively, be sure to read the contract. Have a lawyer read the contract. If you do not understand contracts, which 99% of us don't, have a lawyer read through and give you the full understanding of what the contract means, what's required of you, how harsh those requirements are, the type of punishments that those requirements have, because sometimes legalese can be very scary and very what the heck. And also be very communicative, which it seemed like he was. And even if you are, understand that even if you are, you may very well be tossed aside. Like I said, you're a cog in a machine, you are a number to them. Whether it is hololive, who treats them a little bit nicer than that, or Nijisanji, or Globy, or Brave Group, or whoever else, or back in the day, Shoujo, whichever, you are a number to them at the end of the day. A lot of times, like with larger companies, good companies, like hololive and others, they add a face to that number, but for many of them, you are just that number. Is it wrong? I think, yes, it's wrong. Is it something that we can change? I highly don't doubt it, and I don't think so. It's just the world that we live in. I can see both sides. Like I said, I can see both sides. But I want to let you guys, let me know what you think. And let me know in the comments down below. I am open to, like I said, constructive criticism of, ways that I act and things like that. If you are just going to be vindictive and vitriolic, then you're not going to be listened to. Just remember that. Thank you so much for staying through this whole long period. We're going to continue with other news ahead. Stronny Cuttles is a female Scottish VTuber affiliated with Vtuber, the first generation Indulge, with Icy Snowpaws, Emi, Mercy, Azure Delay, and Chibi Cotton Bum. We're talking about them today because they had a recent event over the weekend. Thank you for the overwhelming success of Christmas ASMR Relay. We hit over 100k views. Thank you to all the lovely participants and Tingle receivers, LMAO. We can't wait to tingle you in the future. These were the large group of people that were going to be a part of it, as you can see here. December 20th was when it happened, around that time. And I will show you the thing here. 9 days ago. It was 9 days ago. My bad. It was 9 days ago. But still, over 100k views collectively. They all had, some of them had 20k views, of course, because Stronny Cuttles is a bit bigger. The ones from, 31k. The ones from Via Lure seem to have a bit more because, that's mainly the type of content that they do. They do the type of content that would fit ASMR being popular with them. And either way, this is to celebrate not so much the fact that it happened, but the fact that they got over 100k views, which is amazing. And as you can see here, like I said, everyone got thousands of views, at least 1,000 view minimum. They all did really, really well. They put their hearts into it, and I'm glad to announce that yes, they did get over 100k views. Welcome back, everybody, to the VTuber Showcase, the place where I like to showcase up-and-coming VTubers of various sizes, shapes, forms, types, everything in between. The reason why I do this is because I want it to be a positive part of the VTubing community. There's a lot of stress and stuff going on there. I want to be able to promote and push VTubers out there in order to help the community grow and become a better place. Today we're talking about VixSyn, just a cute fox doing cute fox things. Take a look at their about section here. Cozy little fox on VixSyn. This is their Twitch. They don't have a lot of content on there, so I'm going to go on to their YouTube with because of the fact that Twitch, if you don't keep your VODs, like if you don't actually stream within 7 days, they will delete your VODs, whether you are an affiliate or not. So it could be that they've done it in like the last 10 days or whatever, and their stuff has been deleted. Now we're moving on to their VixSynVT. And I'm going to have this in the description below. If you can't parse it, then it can't just be clickable. You can just copy and paste, or just enter this in there in YouTube search, and you'll be able to find them. Take a look here.
What the? A perfect 40-degree angle? I can't believe it! A perfect hair day! I finally got my PhD!
Oh, that's wonderful, honey. Not a single day goes by when I don't appreciate my PhD.
That's great, Dad, but I'm not talking about a degree.
Oh, neither am I.
One.
There we go. A nice little fun moment with a perfect hair day. When you have good hair, it can be a celebration. Thank you so much, VixSynVT, for allowing me to showcase you on my channel. I do hope this helps you in some way. Thank you guys for watching, as always. And, of course, take a look, and if you enjoy everything, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, all those things that YouTube asks of you. Really do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.